So, as a Christian, I have both theological and political views on the topic of war, but for the sake of this video, I'll focus on my perspective as a Christian and not as a citizen. I also don't plan to be exhaustive in this video, but rather to simply summarize everything. So first of all, let's keep it simple and focus on the topic of war itself. I do believe that a proper government has the right to a justified war, but only if it's necessary because, of course, it's better to avoid it. When and if a war is justified and therefore enacted, I also think there are certain rules that should be followed and a proper protocol for ending it as well. One example of this could be how Western nations usually only attack military targets in their enemy's territory, and they still usually give an evacuation order first to be safe. But now as we shift our focus more towards Israel, the topic will get a little bit trickier, at least for Christians. So in World War II, before America was officially involved, we were still aiding and helping the enemies of Germany and Japan, which some people say justified Germany and Japan in attacking us, even though their attacks were way worse, which to us justified us getting in the war officially. Well, now that's exactly what happened with Israel and Iran. Iran has been funding the neighbors and terrorists that were attacking Israel, so Israel said, hey, these nuclear sites that they have, when we all agreed they're not supposed to for some pretty good reasons, we're going to attack those military sites after issuing evacuation orders, and they did, to which Iran started shooting missiles at Israel citizens, to which Israel officially went to war with Iran, exactly like with America, Germany, and Japan in World War II. Now, yes, the Bible does say that we should love and respect Jews on behalf of the patriarchs, and America should, of course, help one of their most important allies, but both of those things don't mean that we have to get dragged into all of their problems and all of their wars. Even during times of peace, they get attacked constantly, which is why I actually love the Iron Dome, and I'm glad that we may be building them a Golden Dome soon, because, I mean, that's like the perfect deterrent. Just shoot down incoming attacks instead of going to war over it. It's kind of a nifty idea. Of course, at the same time, simply being defensive will never actually stop the bad guys or bring justice, so there's a point where you do have to act, and even if there will be some collateral damage, think of it like this. If a bad guy is going to keep hurting people and more people for years and years and years and years, or you can stop them now, even if some people may be lost in the process, well, ultimately, you made the hard choice that you had to. Of course, how a Christian and the church should operate is definitely different than the government. There is a separation of church and state for sure, simply in their roles, and also the fact that we don't need the state telling the church what they can and can't preach, and we don't need the state acting like a theocracy either. But of course, we want good Christian principles and Christian people to be in both of them. Side note, we should probably recognize that Israel today is not the same thing as Israel in the Old Testament. For example, if Israel were to build a third temple, it would be blasphemous because Christ has already rebuilt the temple in us, the church. And now, rather than business as usual, it's time to accept the Messiah.